And you've got to, that old saying is true, you've got to fake it till you make it, really.
And the brain doesn't understand negatives either.
No.
You know, you probably heard that old saying, don't think of a pink elephant. And you've all thought of a pink elephant. So your brain doesn't understand don't. So if you're standing there with a bunker here and water here and you think, I don't want to go in the bunker, I don't want to go in the water, you've just told your brain bunker and water.
Yeah.
So it's all about thinking where you do want to go and not where you don't want to go.
Yeah, so it's like if you go, don't hit it in the water, as I close my eyes and I think don't hit it in the water, the only picture I can already see is a golf ball going in the water, the ripples happening. Damn it, it was my good ball. I didn't want to lose that good ball.
So visualising is a positive thing?
I think visualising is...
Yes, because Sue was incredible today. Should we say?
Yes.
When we were on the 9th hole, Sue, today, you said to her, what are you going to do? You said, I'm going to use my 9-iron and I'm going to get on the green. Yes. And you did.
Yeah, isn't that a great example?
I know. So, thank you. That was really helpful.
It's the visualising.
I've only been having lessons from Dennise for 10 years.
For 10 years.
On your
So the visualising, yes, is really important. And my main question to you all is, who's in control? You know how we talk about control? We want to have control as golfers, but we don't have control of a lot of things. Who's in control of what you think and what you feel? Think about it. You. I am. You are.
Susan said,
Yeah. Exactly. So, you know, we often blame our playing partners, we blame everything, but we're in control of how we think and feel.
I had a man today at lunchtime say that he never gets a good scores playing with certain people.
Oh, yeah, well,
and I actually walked past
going to
thinking,
happen.
That's you, mate. That's nothing to do with the people you play
exactly.
with.
Exactly. Very.
I get a lot of people say at these schools that, Anne, when you come along,
Oh, that's unusual.
I hit a bad shot. No, that is another, isn't it? Another classic example.
I was there.
That's right. So, like, I think I saw someone hit it from a distance and it was a beautiful shot. So I was actually watching that one, and that, you know, you didn't know I was watching it. So, you know, it's not really about that, is it? It's about you deciding that if someone's watching you, you can still hit a good shot.
And also, if it's not a bad shot, not to beat yourself up about it.
Exactly.
And do you remember on the first hole when I said to you today, this is what, that when you do something good today, I want you to go, yay! Yeah. That's a psychological tool that all sports people and business people use to some degree, and it's called anchoring. And it's like, if you do something good, you say and you do something. You go like, yeah, you see golf pros? Yes. So, yes. And you see a lot of golf pros, you know, they tap their hat. Thank you. They go, thank you. So it's anchoring rather than most of us take on. Thank you.
Lovely golf today.
Yeah, so
10 years of Dennise and $20,000.
20? I thought it was more than that. I thought, you know.
She's got brains, she's drinking brains.
And Sue, my son's back living with me now, so I need another. So it's like that anchoring that we were talking about is really important, whereas most people don't celebrate their good. They carry on about their bad. Oh, that was... This group, by the way, is very, very good with that. You don't do that.
Oh, these are quick ones.
So they're very quick. So...
Women say to themselves, oh, you silly bitch.
Yes.
No, don't do that. Yeah.
You're the only one who would say that to yourself.
Be kind to you. That's right. You would never say that to someone else.
Beverly has a good phrase. What did you say about that today?
We all do. We all do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, ladies, one of the things, and gentlemen, one of the things we wanted to do was just do that, but the other thing we want to do is give you a little bit of our experiences, because Annie has won on tour. So she's won not on just any tour, she's won on the European tour, the second biggest tour in the world apart from the US. Yeah, well done. Yes, well done. So one of the questions was, Annie, what do you think made you win on tour? What set you apart from the other players that were over there? who, you know, did you have like this phenomenal long game, phenomenal chipping? What set you apart? What did you learn that helped you win that might be on the mind side of it?
Yeah, well, the tournament that I won, I hadn't been in contention before, and I started the final round with a 3-shot lead, and so I was incredibly nervous, and you know, people were telling me to, you know, calm down, you'll be fine, and I was like, you know, and so I started birdie eagle. So
she does that,
and I went to a I went to a 6-shot lead after 2 holes. So you can imagine I was hyperventilating, and I literally spent the rest of the day just trying to stay in the moment, 1 shot at a time. And it was really mentally exhausting, but it worked because it's all about not thinking ahead, not thinking behind, you know, not visualising myself standing on the podium with my trophy, you know, that. And I think we've all done that, haven't we? We've all stuffed up a good round by thinking too far ahead. You know, how many times have you got 3 holes to play and you're on song to have 40 points and you end up with 32 or something, don't you? And it's because we're thinking too far ahead. So I had a few disappointments leading up to it, so I had sort of learned some skills. Obviously, you do, don't you, have experience, and so I just stayed in the moment and stayed focused, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. And I ended up winning by 2. Yeah, and what about you, Dee? Because Dee's a 2-time winner on the European Tour, and she won 2 weeks in a row, which is impressive.
Very consistent.
That's right. So you can answer the same question, Dee. What set you apart?
I'm going to give the example that when I won the European match play, in the final I was playing one of my best friends, and I had always visualised seeing myself win doing this. I don't know why, I want to see that. And some of you may see a photo, if you've been on my website, of me doing that. I didn't take that photo. Some journalists from France sent it to me months later.
Take that photo.
Yeah, when you're doing it. So I had seen myself winning, seeing myself doing this. In your mind. In my mind, I had visualised it, I had felt it, I knew it was happening. And the first time I won on the tour, by the way, before I won, I had lost a couple, so I had choked and learnt. And one of my theories is you can make the mistake once or twice, but if you make it 3 times, then it's really bad. So you've got to learn from your failures, because they're not failures. There's just ways to make you go ahead more. But I had visualised this, and it was one of my good friends on tour that I had beaten in the final, and I didn't want to do this. So the next week we went to France.
So you had to still have a chance to do this. You were like,
yeah, so I thought I'm going to win again because I didn't get to do this, so I must be going to win again. That next week I sunk a putt from about here to Linda to get into the final, but I didn't do this, so not at the final, to go into a playoff. And as I'm driving down, I knew I was going to win. You know, they escort you down there, and I don't speak French, but they're escorting you down there, and I'm like...
Sorry. She's going down there.
Bonjour!
Bonjour! You can imagine it, can't you?
Well done.
Hello!
And that wouldn't work for everybody, you know, some people like that, but not Dee.
S'il vous plaît, off we go.
Having a great one.
And I always kind of knew, and I think the girl I beat, an American girl, she knew I was going to beat her as well, because I just won the European match play, so I was there. And then I had this putt to get, and I didn't know I did that because it was such, but months later I got this photo. But I'm just saying, I had visualised it, I had seen it all my life. I think the only reason I won on tour and did that wasn't because I was much littler than I am now, so I wasn't a big hitter, but I used the mindset and my short game to get me there. It was my mindset, and at that stage, not a lot of people were working on their mindset. Not a lot of people did that. I won a book award when I was 11, because I was very academic as well. And the first book I bought, this book I bought, was called by Maxwell Maltz. Why? I must have been a crazy kid, 11. Psycho-Cybernetics, it was called. Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics. It was how to use your mind to...
There's a book you could look for on...
Dr. Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics. So that's kind of like one of the tools.
I can tell my 63.
So my question is, when you don't do very well, how do you pick yourself up to go on to the next one? Where you've had a terrible game.
I'm not my score. I am not my score. I am not my golf game. I am Dennise Hutton. I am not my golf game.
Each shot is a new shot, one shot at a time. Forget that, don't think ahead, don't think behind. Stay in there.
And how do you know it's bad luck? It could be good luck, what happens to you. We call it bad luck, but it could be good luck. So it's one shot at a time. And realise it is only a game of golf. Even though we were doing it for a living, it is only a game of golf.
I had...
yes, Anne has a question. Any questions?
Question. So, when you were playing professional golf, how did you compartmentalise what was happening off the golf course with what was happening on the golf course? So, things going well, does that translate to a good game? And things going bad, does that translate to a bad game?
There's one really important thing here, Gerard. We are women, we do not compartmentalise. Men do.
I don't remember compartmentalising anything.
My husband caddied for me. He puts everything in, used to put everything into a compartment. I didn't. So if we were, unfortunately, if we were having a rough time or whatever, it really affected me enormously. I found it very hard to put it into a compartment.
And even the best players in the world, they'll get married and have a baby, next thing their game's gone. It's not easy, I think, when it's such a fine line, isn't it, between winning and losing the card.
And it's not easy for women. I think it's even harder for women because men are emotional, but women are also a lot more emotional. And sometimes when you're that young, there's certain things that happen each month which affect your performance as a sports person unbelievably. Men don't get that, I don't think. Do they?
We won't get it, we understand.
Yes. So that is probably not the answer you want. You just go with the flow because basically some weeks are SHIT and some weeks are gems, but it's a tide.
Try and that whole focusing one shot at a time, stay in the moment, that applies really well in that situation too. I've got a good story about that. I was playing in the Guernsey Open. Do you all know where Guernsey?
Guernsey,
Guernsey, the island of Guernsey.
Yes, I've been there lots of times.
Yeah, and I was in a hire car driving to the golf course for the final round, and I was doing quite well. I think I was about 3 shots off the lead. And I ran up the back of a lady in a Mercedes. And she was turning right into this tiny, tiny lane. And I was just assuming that she was turning. So I kind of accelerated to go around her and she just stopped. That's my excuse anyway.
The roads are very narrow.
The roads are very narrow. Yeah. But I was about to go and play golf. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And the worst of it was that my friend that I was sharing with had rented the car and I apparently wasn't supposed to be driving it. So I'm thinking, oh my God, how much is this going to cost me? You needed the prize money. I know. And I got there and to the golf course. Well, the police came and it was all a bit of a kerfuffle and you shouldn't be driving this car and oh my God. And I can't even remember how I got to the course. Anyway, got to the course and I just thought to myself, Anne, you need to just chill out and you need to focus. And I just made it my goal that day to just leave that behind and just play one shot at a time. And I shot 69 and I came second.
Positive story.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to hit somebody up the backside and say, that'll be fine. I'm going to drive them behind you.
So what you did though was you just got yourself into, how did you get yourself into that calm, focused mindset? What did you just told yourself?
I tried that sort of a trick where I thought the more kind of stressed I get about that, the more I'm going to focus that into staying positive and calm. I had my best ever round on tour was a 63, which was a tour record at the time, and so it was a super, super low round.
Was that here or?
It was in Italy. So
Europe, on the European tour.
So it was a 9 under par. So no one had shot that low before on the tour. And that day, I was, everything was just working really, really well. And it was just one of those days where every putt you looked at went in, And when you're playing really well and you're out of your comfort zone, and you're thinking, how am I going to keep this going? And I decided, instead of thinking I've got to protect it, which is, as we probably know, the worst thing you can do, trying to protect a good score, I thought to myself, I'm going to try and get one more birdie, because then I'll have a buffer if something goes wrong. And then I'll get one more birdie, and I'll get one more birdie, and, then I would have another birdie. And I think, okay, because the temptation is to just try and protect it. I'm doing really well, I just want to protect it. And so I just kept saying to myself, I'm just going to go for another birdie, just in case, another birdie, just in case. And I ended up with, my best score by far ever. That was a record for some time, wasn't it? It was, yeah. I was actually pregnant as well.
Scented, lower centre of gravity.
But that's a really good trick, I think, if you are playing really, really well and your temptation is to try and protect the score, is to think about having another three-pointer or, trying to push that, whatever's got you to that point, keep going with that same mindset.
Be a bit available.
Yeah, try and keep pushing. Don't try and protect it. It just never, ever, ever works. That's where it all goes out the window.
Sorry.
Sure.
No.
Good.
I really want to know, when you're playing match play, how do you treat your partner or the person you're playing with?
Actually, Dennise.
Do you try to mess with their heads?
No.
Dennise was a match play champ. So one of her tournaments was the match play event on the European tour.
And as an amateur, my match play record was really good. So I think I never played against the opponent. I would just...
Play your own game.
I played my own game, because the worst thing you could do when you're playing match play, you think, I've got this hole one, and like Annie said, you've got this hole one, and then they sink a really long putt, or you think, I'll play safe because they're in trouble. You just play your own game, and that's it. The only time I wouldn't play my own game was if I had to get a 10-footer to halve the hole, I would get it. So then whereas normally I'd be just like rolling it down there. So the only time I would ever play them was when I had to halve the hole and I had one shot to do it. Otherwise I just play my game. Because you're often playing people who hit it a lot further than you, so you can't play against them. And that's really, when you're playing golf as a whole, you should play your game to your handicap, not try playing off, like I've got to get on this par 5 for 3. You play off 36. You don't have to get on this par 5 for 3. So it's play your game, not someone else's game.
Why do you ask, Jared? Have you got a match play thing coming up? Or?
Well, I do it just as schemes with friends, look out to and we mess with each other's heads. That's just poison.
That'll test your focus out.
But I like that concept of just worrying about your own game.
It's the best thing for golf anyway, in any situation. Yeah, once you start worrying about other people's games.
But it's interesting because I love it. Guys are really good to play golf with. I used to play with the guys when I was younger, and they would do all sorts of things to put you off. So it's kind of good, that little... I think women tend not to do that, because if we do that, they say we're bitches and that. So, but men do that for fun, and it'd be kind of good to, if you go out and play socially, to try to do that, because then nothing disturbs you.
I don't do it to my wife.
It's a bit of a guy thing. I've had some bad experiences in match play with my opponents over the years, and it's that block it out, focus. The more, whatever they are, the more focused you get on your shot. Use it almost as an incentive. I've had people standing super, super close to me, in an effort to put me off, and I think, the closer they stand, the more determined I'm going to be to hold this part.
Yeah.
And use it almost as a way, as a trigger to think more positively. I think, because I know for me, the type of personality I am, if I was to confront her, that would upset me, and then my game's going to go out the window. So I think, you know, this is my way of...
Be yourself as well. You've got to work out what works for you.
Yep.
Wise words.
Yeah, really wise.
So visualising is really important. Staying in the moment is important. Understanding yourself and your own game, so you've got a plan.
Yeah. Thinking positively. Any questions before we finish?
We'll have our dinner.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.